Folks, it's time. The Miami Dolphins can't keep pretending anymore. Tua Tagovailoa cannot be the starting quarterback of this team any longer. Yes, he's in the first year of that massive 4-year extension he signed before the 2024 season. But after everything we've seen, it's clear the leadership isn't there. The play has declined, and he simply doesn't have the physical tools to bail this offense out. Right now, the Dolphins look stuck in neutral with Tua behind center, and honestly, it's time to consider making a change. I'll break down exactly why throughout this video, but first, I want to hear from you. Should the Dolphins bench Tua for the rest of the season? Maybe even for good? Type Y for yes, or N for no in the comments below. Before we go any deeper, quick reminder, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and tap the bell icon so you never miss an update on your favorite NFL stories. It really helps the channel grow and keeps you in the loop with every big moment around the league. Now, back to business. When you break down the numbers, the reality hits hard. Tua leads the NFL in interceptions this season with 10, tied with Geno Smith. His QB rating is a career-worst 82.8, and his QBR has dropped to 50.5. It's been ugly, back-to-back games with 3 interceptions, one against the Chargers and another against the Browns. His turnovers come in waves. When it starts, it doesn't stop. If you see Tua throw one early, you might as well brace for another. Statistically, he's near the bottom in nearly every key metric among qualified quarterbacks. 27th in QB rating, 22nd in turnover-worthy, plays 29th in average depth of target, A.dot. 23rd in EPA per dropback, 18th in completion percentage over expected below average across the board. And that's not even subjective anymore. Watching him this season is like watching a completely different quarterback than the 2023 version. The confidence is gone. The poise is gone. He looks panicked and unsure, constantly overwhelmed by pressure. And yes, the offensive line hasn't been helping. Names like Larry Borom and Jonah Savania haven't exactly provided stability up front, but even with those struggles, great quarterbacks find ways to overcome. Tua just hasn't. And then there's the offensive line. Names like Larry Borom, Cole Strange, and Jonah Savania. It's rough. There's just no way to defend how bad it's been, and it's making Tua's struggles even worse. Here's one of the most telling stats. Tua has been pressured on 30.9% of his dropbacks this season, ranking among the bottom 10 in the NFL. Now, you could argue that part of that is because he gets the ball out quickly, and that's true. But when you dig deeper into the numbers, things get even uglier under pressure. Yes, his completion percentage is decent, but his big-time throw rate and turnover-worthy play rate are both in the bottom 10. His average depth of target under pressure? Dead last in football. And his QB rating, when pressured, ranks just 20th. No matter how you slice it, clean pocket or collapsing one, the results aren't good. And that same word keeps coming up when you watch him play. Panicky. Every time Tua drops back and feels the rush closing in, it's like he loses control. His mechanics break down, the throw comes out wobbly, and the ball sails off target. And look, I'm not trying to cross a line here, but it really feels like that concussion he suffered last year against Buffalo changed him. He once said he liked contact, that getting hit made him feel more in rhythm. But when you watch him now, it looks like a completely different player, someone who's afraid to take that hit. He bails out too early, spins away under pressure, and forces throws that just aren't there. It's hard to watch. Painful, honestly. And listen, some Dolphins fans might not like hearing this, but this isn't about taking shots at Tua. This is about the team. We all want to see the Dolphins succeed, not just survive. We're here to talk about solutions, and yes, to hold this team accountable. So if you love the Dolphins and want to stay locked in on everything happening in Miami, make sure you're subscribed for daily updates and in-depth coverage. Now, let's talk about what comes next. You're obviously not cutting Tua right now. That's not realistic. But when the offseason comes around, things could get interesting. Could a new GM or new head coach decide to move on sooner than expected? Originally, the plan was to have an out after 2026, but with the way things are trending, that decision might come a lot faster. So here's the real question. Could Miami actually move off Tua this upcoming offseason instead of waiting until 2026? When you look at the numbers, it's complicated, but it's not impossible. In 2026, Tua carries a massive $56.4 million cap hit. If the Dolphins cut or trade him before June 1st, That number balloons into an insane $99.2 million in dead cap. But if they wait and make the move after June 1st, that dead cap drops to $67.4 million. That means you'd be taking on just about $1 million more on next year's cap to move off him early, and honestly, I'd do it. Here's why. Cutting him now would save around $22 to $26 million in 2027 and nearly $60 million in 2028. Sure, those savings would eventually come if you waited until after the 2026 season, but why drag it out another year? You're really going to pay $56.4 million to keep a backup quarterback on your roster? Or even worse, in your locker room causing distractions? If it were up to me, I'd pay the extra $11 million just to have a clean slate. No drama, no backup controversy, no noise. Because let's be honest, if Miami brings in a rookie quarterback or even a bridge veteran next season, the last thing you want hanging over their shoulder is Tua sitting on the sideline. Look at the Atlanta Falcons. They went through a similar thing and managed to move forward cleanly after the Kirk Cousins situation. That's the blueprint Miami should follow. So when you really think about it, the choice is clear. Keep Tua as a $56 million backup no one wants to trade for, or take the cap hit, move on, and finally start fresh. It's a tough decision, but for me, the answer's simple. You cut him. Because the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to rebuild this team the right way. And honestly, that's another reason why moving on from Tua might actually be worth it. Because why not take a look at what you've got in your rookie quarterback? Miami spent a 7th-round pick on Quinn Ewers, the former 5-star recruit, and once the number 1 overall prospect coming out of high school. There was a time people thought this guy could go in the first round of the NFL draft. Sure, his final season at Texas didn't go as planned, but the raw talent has always been there. This week against the Browns, Miami promoted Ewers to QB2, and he actually got some real action, 12 snaps in the fourth quarter after Tua was benched. Before the game, reporter Barry Jackson mentioned that Ewers earned that promotion because of his strong scout team performances. Coaches have praised his work ethic, preparation, and of course, that arm talent, which might already be one of the best in the building. Now, if we're talking pure arm strength, the debate's close between Ewers and Zach Wilson, who's still got that freakish velocity that made him the number 2 overall pick. But the staff clearly sees something special in Ewers, something they want to develop. Let's be real though, his first showing wasn't anything impressive. It was limited garbage time action, and he struggled. But even in those few snaps, there were flashes of why people were once calling him elite. Here's one play that stood out. Miami's at its own 17-yard line, shotgun formation. The snap hits Ewers' hands, and within seconds, the pocket collapses. His left guard, Jonas Saviano, gets bulldozed to the ground. Most rookies panic in that situation. But Ewers? He keeps his eyes downfield. He spots his receiver, D. Eskridge, one-on-one, and lets it rip. And here's the crazy part. As he throws, a defensive lineman is diving right at his face, arms stretched out. Ewers can't even step into the throw. He just flicks his wrist, pure arm talent, and drops a perfect strike right into Eskridge's hands. Tight coverage, great catch. But that throw, that was NFL-level stuff. Sure, the rest of his game was rough. He made rookie mistakes. But that single throw, that moment, reminded everyone why this kid once had first-round buzz. That's the kind of raw ability that makes coaches and fans alike hope there's something real to develop here. Quinn Ewers clearly has talent. We've all seen the flashes. The question now is, can he put it all together? Can he clean up his footwork, refine his mechanics, and make smarter decisions to actually become a high-level NFL quarterback? Honestly, that's still a mystery. So let's put it this way. If you had to pick one, who would you rather roll with for the rest of the season? Tua Tagovailoa or Quinn Ewers? Type TT for Tua or Q for Quinn. For me, I've said it before, I'd bench Tua. I've seen enough. I'd move on and see what I've got in Quinn. But let's be real, that's not going to happen. You might want it, I might want it, but the Dolphins simply aren't going there. Here's why. Adam Schefter reported earlier today that Miami has no plans to turn to Quinn Ewers. It's too early in the season, and they're sticking with Tua. Shortly after, head coach Mike McDaniel confirmed in his press conference that Tua will continue taking all the first-team snaps in practice and remain the starter, at least for the next few weeks. Tua will start this week against the Atlanta Falcons, and he'll almost certainly start again the following Thursday on the short turnaround against the Baltimore Ravens. But the real reason we won't see Quinn anytime soon goes deeper than just football. Mike McDaniel can't move on from Tua, not without ending his own tenure in Miami. And honestly, I don't blame him for that. I'll criticize McDaniel for a lot of things, but not this one. Because at the end of the day, this is simple. His career is tied to Tua's. When McDaniel signed off on that contract extension for Tagovailoa, he basically admitted, "My future in Miami goes as far as Tua takes me." So if he benches Tua now, he's not just admitting failure. He's waving the white flag. That would be the moment the organization says, "We're done. Season over." And make no mistake, if McDaniel ever does bench Tua, it likely means he's coaching his last game for the Dolphins. The only realistic scenario where Quinn Ewers gets a start this season is after Mike McDaniel is fired. Once a new, or interim, head coach steps in, that's when the decision becomes open again. That coach will have to decide, do I try to win with Tua, or do I take a look at the rookie? Think about it. If, say, Anthony Weaver takes over as interim head coach after McDaniel's dismissal, he'll have 6 weeks to prove himself. In that situation, he might just decide to give the kid a chance. Now imagine this. Anthony Weaver takes over as interim head coach, decides to give Quinn Ewers a shot, and the kid lights it up. Suddenly, he's looking like a Brock Purdy-type story, a 7th-rounder who steps in and just gets it. If that happens, people are immediately going to connect the dots. They'll say, "Hey, Weaver was the coach who trusted Quinn. Quinn played his best football under him." And just like that, the narrative shifts. Suddenly, there's momentum to roll with both Quinn Ewers and Anthony Weaver going into next season. That's exactly the kind of situation that could unfold. But the truth is, it's the same logic Mike McDaniel faces right now. Benching Tua Tagovailoa isn't just a football decision. It's a career-ending one for him. The moment McDaniel sits Tua down, he's basically saying, "Yeah, you can fire me now." And that's why it won't happen. At least not while McDaniel still has the headset on. All right, that wraps up today's show. Appreciate everyone for tuning in and hanging out with us. We'll be back tomorrow with 2 more videos, and we're live again on Thursday as well. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and hit that bell icon so you never miss any NFL updates.